Welcome to the Absolute Momsense podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back. For today's episode, I invited a guest on, and her name is Jackie. She is an amazing mother. She's a realtor. She is the working mom. Like, if there was a business mom, this is her. She's got 10 kids. She just started her own interior design company. So we talked a lot about how to do that, how to be the working mom with that many kids, and how, because she's such a great interior decorator, how to keep your house clean with so many kids. She also has a really amazing cancer survival story that just touched my heart. Such an amazing story, such a journey that her and her husband have gone through. And I asked her to share it with you guys because I knew it would be something that you guys would enjoy. So let's get into it. Hi.
Hi.
How many kids do you have?
I have 10.
10 kids.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so how old is your oldest?
25, and my youngest is 7.
Wow. So that's like a big age range.
Yep.
10 kids.
And
so
10 grandkids.
10 grandkids.
Yep.
So you've so you've had as many grandkids as you have kids.
Yep.
Already.
Yeah.
Wow. How many kids of yours are married so far?
5. So half of them.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
What do you do for a living?
I do commercial real estate is my main job. Okay. I also do interior design and marriage counseling.
Really? Mm-hmm. I didn't know you got into marriage counseling.
Yeah, I started doing it for just friends, and then the word kind of spread, and now I have a bunch of people. So
that's so cool.
So I got into it kind of on accident.
Okay, so I knew you were a realtor. At first, I thought that she was like residential, but you're commercial.
Yep.
So what's the difference between the two?
Commercial does leasing, sales, and for commercial properties, industrial, retail, office, land.
Right.
Even apartment buildings, if they're more than 4 units, it's considered commercial.
Okay, I see. And how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing the real estate part of it for 5 years, but I've been in the commercial field for 17 years. I started as a commercial real estate agent, a property management.
Okay. So what did you do before that?
Before that, I lived at a storage unit facility and managed that. That's kind of how I got introduced into the property management world. And then my father-in-law also owns real estate, so he asked me to help him with that. I guess I did a pretty good job. And so he asked me to continue working for him in that field. So I did that because it was a really good way for me to have a small income while I stayed home with my kids. And then my husband was in college at the time, so we kind of needed that extra help.
Yeah. Because I was curious, if you say your oldest is 25, so have you always been a working mom?
Yes. I have.
Never just like a stay-at-home
I guess
mom?
for about a year, then I stayed at home. And I planned on doing it longer, but then I was needed, for the family business, so I started doing that.
Okay. So how's that been? Because I've heard from a lot of like realtor moms, both residential and commercial, that it's hard. It's hard to be a realtor and be a mom at the same time.
I didn't think it was hard, but
so what was your experience?
Well, when I was home for the year with my kids, I felt like I wasn't doing much. And I mean, not that your kids aren't, important, for sure they are. And I did enjoy that time with them, and they enjoyed it a lot too. But I don't know, I just felt like there was something more that I needed to do with my time. So
okay, that makes sense. So how many kids did you have at the time that you were staying home?
I had 5.
Okay.
And I got paid to work there and live there at the same time. So it was really good for me. So while my husband was in school, then I supported him financially and took care of the kids. And then when he got out of school is when I started working full time.
Oh, I see. So how did you balance the work and mom life?
I probably wasn't that good at it. But I don't know. It didn't seem that hard, I guess. Back then, I was young. I had a lot of energy.
You could do it?
Yeah. I don't know. It never seemed that difficult to me, but
I've heard from moms who are like, how do you do things like extracurricular activities or weekends with your kids or going to ball games and performances or things like that? How do you balance stuff like that? Do you have flexibility as a realtor, or is it like 9 to 5?
You do. You decide your own schedule. So that part is really nice because I can just move things around to work around my family schedule, and it's not that hard to do.
Okay. So you can be like, okay, these nights I'm not available.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you schedule your appointments kind of whenever you can. So, and it's not that difficult to take care of your clients. So you didn't feel like
you were missing out on like events with your kids or
No,
anything?
I don't think so. I don't think they'd feel like I did either. So, yeah, I think we had a pretty good balance.
Huh. And there's other moms who are asking, like, how do you do that then? How do you balance it out?
Well, you have to schedule your family stuff first. So you put your family stuff in a calendar, and then you schedule all your work stuff around that. My kids would say I'm a workaholic, though, and they they think I work too much. I probably do, but I don't know. It's just I feel the need, I guess.
And you enjoy it?
I do enjoy working a lot. Yeah.
Recently, you got into interior design.
Yeah, so that was my dream job.
Okay, so from the very beginning, then you wanted to be interior decorator.
Yes, the real estate was always just kind of a necessity of something my family needed me to do. Mm-hmm. And I did enjoy it, and I still enjoy it, and it's a really good way to make money, but but interior design's always been my dream job. Okay. My husband's always like, no, that you can't make that much money doing that. Let's not do that. Let's do. But I mean, he's cool with it, and he's very supportive. But
So when did you start that? Interior design?
A year ago.
Okay, so this is recent.
Yeah, but I've done a lot of interior design projects for my other job too. Like as I would manage properties, I would like design the lobbies or design different parts. So I've had a lot of experience throughout my property management career as well in interior design, and that was always my favorite part. So.
Okay.
But my daughter is the one that's supposed to be really running the business. I'm just helping her get it started. So
you work with your daughter?
Yes.
Okay, so what's that like?
I love it.
Do you feel like, because it's mom-daughter type of relationship, do you feel like you're more the mom to it, or do you feel like you're more co-workers, partners,
I kind of feel like I'm the mom in the whole thing. And she kind of treats me like that and kind of lets me carry the weight, and then just, she's getting there though. I'm like, this is your thing. You got to do this. You got to do it. And the only way I can really get her to do it though is to kind of step back and just let her take the reins.
Let her go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what all do you offer in interior design?
We do design services where we can just design the room, put a style board together, or we can do full service where we go in and take it from start to finish and manage the construction and the painting, everything that needs to be done that way. So we have both. We do both. Okay. We also supply the flooring, furniture. We sell all that stuff too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I've seen a couple of your projects like on Instagram, and you do a lot of, what do they call it? Like DIY, bringing it back to life. What is that?
Remodel? Or...
I don't know. So you have a piece of furniture that you're like, okay, I don't like this. And then you go through and sand it all down and then refinish it and all that stuff. So you take something old and then you make it new, right?
Yeah, we've done that. We don't like to do that.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like the thing.
No, it's not. We've done it in the past because some of our clients had a budget they had to stick to, and we really wanted to spend that money on other things. So we just took it upon ourselves to make sure we could, fit everything in the budget so we could make it a...
So you'd rather just go get them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought that because I was watching all these time-lapse videos that you guys are putting on Instagram going, oh, wow, I'm happy somebody likes to do the DIY. I'm like, no, I don't want to do the DIY stuff. I just want to buy it and put it there or have somebody else do it because I don't have an eye for that.
It's not that I don't enjoy it. It's just really time consuming to do those things. And like every minute counts, like time is money. And so it's so much easier for me to just pay like $500 for a small piece than to spend 2 days on it. Because, 2 days is worth more than $500. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what's like a typical budget that somebody says, hey, come in and do my front room?
Around $2,000. for a living room. And that's usually just
That's including
paint and
furniture
decorating.
and everything?
No, that's just paint and
really?
decorating. Yeah.
Wow.
If furniture itself, like a couch set, you're looking at $8,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
It can get expensive when you're furnishing the room. But, yeah.
Wow.
Most of our jobs so far have been just the decorating part because that's what people struggle with the most.
It is.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, even for me, that it's so you see like Pinterest things, and you're like, "Oh, that's so pretty." I can't even copy and paste that in my own house. It's so hard. It's just I don't have the eye for it. My husband does all the decorating, and I'm just like, "Looks good, better than I could do."
Well, you did great. I love your space. We when I took an interior design class, and the first thing they told us was, you can't teach someone how to design. It's something you're born with. And I was like, oh, okay, then why would we be taking this class? And she's like, and then she went on further to explain that they teach you how to be a professional about it and how to make money doing it.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting class.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I totally agree with that because it's just something, I mean, it's not there. Don't get it. So I think it's super cool.
It
for
seems
sure.
like you do. It seems like
I said, it's not me. This is not me. I don't know how to do it. But I'm curious though, what kind of clients do you get? Do you get moms with kids? Do you get like people who have older kids only or people who don't have kids yet?
Most of our clients are commercial clients.
Oh, okay.
So we did
so like workspaces.
Yeah, we did a trucking company most recently. We went in and remodeled their whole office.
Okay.
And now we have a gun company that we're doing now, and then we have about 4 others that are on our schedule.
Yay.
That are all businesses. So
that's awesome.
We have a few homes, but we like to do the businesses more because they have more funding and they
you can kind of do more with it.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So the reason I ask as far as like what type of clients you have is because like I decorate my house, or well, my husband does, but we have decor around the house. And I've had a lot of parents make comments when they come to my house. Well, how could you do that? Or why would you do that? Why would you have all these nice things out here? Because you have a lot of kids. They're just going to break it. They're going to ruin it. They're going to destroy all of this stuff. And I've had even some friends that say, I don't like bringing my kids to your house because I feel like that they can't live. And I'm like, I have 6 kids and they're living every day.
Exactly.
It's just fine.
People say that to me too.
Yeah,
and
I'm curious.
Well, you just teach them. You teach them how to respect everything around them. Otherwise, like, how are you going to expect them to do that at church or at the grocery store? You know, it's just something you have to teach them.
So how do you teach them? Because your house looks beautiful too, right?
Well,
like
I
you're an
so.
you're an interior decorator. It looks beautiful, I'm sure. So how then do you do it? And did you do it when you only had a lot of little kids?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
You just teach them to take care of the things around them and not to touch certain things. Like, you don't touch glass. You don't touch anything that's going to break. And, yeah, it just takes a few times. They always try it.
Yeah.
And you just correct them and tell them, you know, we don't touch this. This isn't for you to play with. These toys are for you to play with. This isn't.
You're like, this is my toys.
Yes.
Don't touch them.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you say to moms who say that to you?
The same thing. Just teach them not to. Just teach them to respect your stuff.
And what if they're like, well, my kids just can't handle that. They just can't.
Well, to each his own.
Do you think it's important, though, for somebody to have a space that they enjoy being in?
I do, because I don't know, it makes
like,
you...
how do you think
it makes you enjoy
you?
being home. It makes you... I don't know, pride comes into it. It's...
Right.
To have something that you're proud of is... I think it's important. And for even your kids, I think it's important for them, like I said, to learn how to respect the things around them and to take care of things.
Yeah. So have you ever had experiences where you've had kids? Because, I mean, we've heard all kinds of stories, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, I've heard of kids taking ketchup bottles out of the fridge and just everywhere, or eggs and just all over everything, or a bucket of flour or rice or something. And it's just everywhere. The food, there's a mom who I was talking to, and she said she had to start setting an alarm so that she would be up before her kids to make sure that they didn't go get food in the fridge and just start throwing it around her house. And she's like, how do you stop it? Like, I can't stop this kid from doing this. So have you ever had any experiences with your kids doing that?
When I was growing up myself, then my little brothers tried
really?
that a few times. And it would make me so mad because I would get the house all clean, and I cared a little bit more than my mom did about how clean her house was. And they would get up early in the morning and make big messes, and it would just make me so mad. But with my own kids, I taught them not to get into the cupboards and things without asking. So, I honestly never had that. I mean, I had them spill their milk, and I had them like spill things on accident, or even on purpose at times where they'd make a mess on the table. But you just clean it up, and
it's all right.
show them how to behave. But
right, I've had one experience. I remember I was staying up late, and I had a box of those jelly-filled powdered donuts. And I had a couple of them that night and totally forgot to put them away before I went to bed. And then I had one of my kids get up, like little kids, and they went out and just started eating the donuts, and all over the couch, everything, all the donuts. And I'm like, what just happened? One of those things where I'm like, I should have just taken care of it, but why?
I definitely had those experiences. And it taught me to clear the coffee table, and before you go to bed, make sure everything's up high where the really little ones can't get it.
Yeah. Because you're right. There's an age where they just know. Yeah. We don't do that.
Yes.
They know, for my kids, they know we don't have food on the carpets anywhere at all.
Yeah.
And so, but then the little ones where you just, still take some time to train them.
Yeah, exactly. And they're curious, and
Or what about like crayons on walls?
Yes, we definitely had that.
So what do you do? How do you handle it?
We had made the kids clean it up, and it would take a long time it takes a long time to wash crayon off. Yeah. And it wasn't very fun, so it was usually the last time they tried it.
They were like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like having them clean up their own messes helps them to be more aware of the messes that they're making too.
Absolutely.
And then they kind of had more pride over like their home and things. Because I think it's funny that you say you cared more than you think your mom did at the time. Because I've heard of kids that are too embarrassed to even bring their friends over to their house because of the way that it looks, or because maybe they have friends, or because maybe they have friends with their houses that are beautiful and immaculate and like so big and so fancy, and then they don't think that their house is that way, and so then they're embarrassed to bring friends over. So what would you say to moms like that who have kids that are the embarrassed ones?
In my own experience, my mom didn't care. She didn't care what anyone thought, and she didn't care about appearances. Just never really mattered to her. Right. And so I don't know that saying anything to her would really change anything. So, but for the kids, I would say just change it in your own life. Make it, make it better
for yourself.
Yeah, learn from your parents' mistakes and do a better job if you want a different result.
I think if as a mom, if you knew that your kid was feeling that way about your house, I think it would, because you do have moms that are like, I don't really care, or that's not that big of a deal to me. But if you noticed that your kid was struggling with it, it seems like then that would kind of light a fire in you to be like, I guess I should maybe take some time and make sure that it looks good or feels good or smells good, or things like that, so that they can feel like that they can bring their friends over. Because I don't know, for me as a mom, if I ever heard my kids say that, then I would be like, well, then let's get on it. Let's fix this up and make it something that you are proud to be a part of, or proud to bring people over to, and not something that you're just like, ugh. No, don't come to my house. And I feel like that even I have an expectation even on my own self to, you never know if somebody's just going to drop by. And then, what if, So I'm like, guys, always it's clean. Because what if somebody comes over, they're not going to see it like this. Like, that's not going to happen. So I think that doing that is important, but then I've still always said I want to live in a home, not a house. I don't want to feel like that I can't live and breathe and that my kids can't make messes or can't, be kids. So I think that there's that kind of an element to it too, but that you can still have pride over your house and still take care of it.
Yeah.
And still be comfortable.
No, I totally agree.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. I, even like in my home, I don't make people take their shoes off just because I don't know. I don't like taking my shoes off. And my husband hates when our kids take their shoes off. He thinks they should always have their shoes on. And that's not why I don't like, it's just like one time I went to a party and they had asked me to take my shoes off and I'm like, this outfit's really ugly without shoes.
So you have to have your shoes on.
And I was thinking, and I did take my shoes off, and I'm like, that's just weird to me. It's so weird. So I agree with you. I like people to feel comfortable in my home, and I would just never ask a guest to take their shoes off. It's just, to me, it's like, it's weird.
Right. Because you don't want to ruin somebody's outfit.
Exactly.
Like, don't touch the outfit. So.
Yeah.
Right. But I do feel like that it does help kids, not only like you were saying, not only in your own home, but anytime you're out in public, the amount of respect, if you trained them in the home, is way better.
Oh, for sure. And if someone had that rule, obviously,
No, I know. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, because you were saying when you go to the grocery store, then they don't touch things.
Yes.
Or they don't run around and, like, throw everything off the shelves. Because, I mean, I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen kids do that before. And
go to Walmart.
Yeah.
They're all over.
It's all over the place. But I think training them and teaching them and giving them that respect in the home helps so much in public.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you've heard the saying, home is where you feel the best but act the worst.
Yep.
So if you don't act so bad at home, then you'll be really good out in public.
There you go.
Right?
Right.
The logic, it's just there.
Exactly.
So what do you tell young moms? Like when they're like, how do I have a house like you?
It has to be a priority. And we have a command center. So we have the kids, all the kids have their jobs. I don't have a job in the home anymore. My kids take care of everything, including the cooking, which is really nice.
That is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I help sometimes on the weekends when I have the time, but my kids, it rotates and they take turns. Every week it rotates, but so they take pride in the home being clean too because they're the ones doing it now. So that makes it easier. I couldn't do that when they were all really young, but they did still have a job and they did still contribute to helping. But I would have to go, around after and really clean it because they didn't know how.
Yeah. I think that because I've started doing that myself where I do have I use a job will because it's easier for me to manage it. But I have all my kids on the job will, and I say once they turn 2, then they have a job on the job will. And then we just add them to it. But then I don't have a job because I consider myself like the manager.
Yeah.
And you got to go and you have to be able to train every kid how to do every job.
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm like, if I had my own job, I don't have the time then to go through and make sure that, because I could clean up after them, but then they're just going to keep doing it that way. Every time. So then I need to be there like as it's happening so that I can be like, okay, nope, not quite. Let's get the edges or here, this is how we do it. Or, you know what I mean? Just so that it's something that's trained in them so that when they are older, I can just be like, okay, go.
Yeah, that's great. When my oldest was 8, then I did bigs and littles. So the 4 oldest were the 4 youngest bigs. So they everything that kid needed to do, their big would help them. So the oldest kid had the youngest, and the second oldest had the second youngest. So that it was, because obviously an 8-year-old's going to handle a 1-year-old a lot better than a 2-year-old, or a 4-year-old's not going to be able to handle a 1-year-old because they can't carry him and stuff like that.
Right.
So when they got him up in the morning, they got him dressed. They helped him brush their teeth. They helped him eat their breakfast. They helped everything, and I, like you said, managed the situation and made sure the bigs were taking care of the littles, and that we actually called them that. It's like, who's your little? Okay, go. Or did they get dressed? Did they get everything done? So that helped me a ton, and I would recommend it to anyone. I actually saw it in a movie where they had like a scouts thing, and they called them bigs and littles. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do that with my kids. It worked really good.
I think that would be super valuable, and not even just the kid knowing how to clean, but knowing how to train somebody else to clean too.
And to take care of someone other than themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many pros in that situation.
Yes.
The thing that I am nervous about is, what do you do when you've done so well with your older, that now, like, your younger is coming up, and the olders are married and moved out of the house? Do they carry the same weight that your older kids did?
I tried to have them. Obviously, they didn't as much because we didn't have as many little kids. So, but
have you noticed the difference?
Yeah, definitely. The younger ones are a little bit more spoiled. They're a little more. They just didn't have to do as much as the older ones did, and sometimes the older ones will make comments like, "You guys are getting away with, like, you guys."
Like, I never would have been able to do that.
Yeah, you guys have so much freedom.
Do you feel like your parenting style has changed?
Yeah, I'm a lot more lenient than I was at first. I let things slide. Like when I was a young mom, I was like hypersensitive about every little thing and like right on top of everything. And I had more energy. Now I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. It's not going to hurt them. They'll be fine.
I don't know, because with my older kids, I remember thinking when they would throw a tantrum or something like that, then I would be like embarrassed that my kid was acting that way. And especially in public, I would be like, stop, please stop. and now I'm more like, aw, you're so cute.
Exactly. Yep.
They throw their tantrum. Oh, you're just too little to be doing that. Oh, do it again. You know? And it's fun and it's entertaining now. Whereas before, it seemed like everything was such a big deal.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. I think I would have been a little bit better off if I would have been as patient as I am now when I was younger.
I think that there's definitely a happy medium.
Yes.
Because there are some things that I'm like, I probably should be a little bit more on top of things, still. But then there are times where I'm like, I'm glad I don't expect this from me or my kids or something. And now it's more just like, it's okay. We got time.
Yeah, well,
they're only 2. It's fine.
I saw a video where they had come in with a sandwich, and she says she recorded them asking her daughter, so didn't you just tell me that you couldn't wait to get to the middle of your sandwich where all the butter and cheese is? And she opens up her sandwich and there's like big chunks of cheese and butter in the middle, but nothing on the outside. And she's like, yeah. And she's kind of laughing because she thought it was funny. And then and then her little brother comes in and he has this whole cube of butter on the bread. And she's like, did you put any cheese on there, or is it just butter? And the girl goes and lifts it up, and she's like, it's just butter. And he flips it over. There's cheese on this side, and there's this tiny little blob of cheese on top of the big, huge cube of butter. Oh, and it was hilarious. And I thought, man, I would be freaking out and be like, don't you waste that butter. And I thought that. So it is really nice to to be a little bit patient when you're, and enjoy the little things. That's the thing I didn't do when my kids were young. I didn't enjoy the little things.
I don't know. I feel like that it's just something that you almost have to learn as you're going through it. But I think it's really cool that there are young moms that are already starting like, oh, this is so cute. This is so fun. And I'm like, good for you. Because you're right. I was more of the type that, no, it has to be just so. Yeah. Just so and perfect all the time.
You're more worried about the wasted butter than how funny it is.
Than the moment. Yeah. Right, exactly. Yep. So, I don't know. I think that it changes for sure. But obviously, happy medium so that it's not completely lost.
Yep.
The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about was your husband's cancer diagnosis. So, I've actually never heard the whole story or what it was that he had or like how you found it or anything like that.
So we were on vacation, and he just wasn't feeling himself. He felt really lethargic and tired, and And he was getting bruises all over his body he didn't even realize where they were or know where they were coming from. So, and we didn't really think much of it, but we got home from our vacation. He went to the doctor just to see if there was something wrong. And then we had gone to a movie. It was probably 2 days after we got back. And when we got home, then our oldest was saying the doctor called like 3 times while you guys were gone. And he said it was an emergency and you need to call back. So we're like, really? What in the world? So we called. They said, you need to get into the hospital as quickly as possible. So we went to the emergency room and it took several hours for us to figure out what was going on. And we had no idea if we should be really worried
give you
or
a
if
heads up or anything.
No, they didn't tell us what the concerns were. So it was like, we were just confused. And it was like 1 a.m. We were sitting in the emergency room. And anyway, so then they told us that they thought that he had leukemia. And we didn't really know what that was. I mean, we'd heard the term, but we didn't understand it.
Right.
And we asked what that meant. They said, well, without treatment, then he would die in 6 weeks. With treatment, then we don't know how long he would actually survive. And they wouldn't tell us like what the numbers were because they didn't want to scare us. So we started doing research on our own and we couldn't find anyone that had lived past 2 years with that specific kind of leukemia. There's
even after treatment?
Yeah, with treatment. Without treatment, he would have died in 6 weeks. With treatment, we thought, okay, we might get 2 years if we're lucky. So he decided to become an expert in it and leukemia and did a lot of research himself. Okay. And did home treatments or home remedies as well as what the hospital had recommended. So he kind of did them both together. Okay. He went through radiation. That was his first treatment, and then it causes a lot of damage to your body. So then he did home remedies to kind of repair that damage as much as possible. Okay. And then he, after a year, he relapsed and had to do radiation and chemotherapy was his first treatment. Okay. So he did chemo the first time, and then the second round, then he had to do chemo and radiation. Okay. And in that process, that made so he couldn't have kids. Oh, so we stored so that we could later if he got better. So that's, I have a 7-year break from my 2 youngest kids, and that's why, because during those 7 years, he was sick, and we didn't know if he was going to survive it or not. It took about 7 years until we were comfortable that he probably wouldn't die. Wow. And now it's been 11 years and he's doing great. He's probably healthier than he ever has been. So it's
11 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's been cancer free for 10.
Okay.
Because it didn't come back after the second. He got a bone marrow transplant from his brother because he was a match. But because of that, then he had graft versus host, which is why he fought for his life for 7 years. Otherwise, he would have been fine. But wow. Yeah. If he would have had cord blood from when he was a baby, then he wouldn't have had any graft versus host, and it would have been like smooth sailing. Wow. So cord blood banking. Yeah, it's a really good idea if you can do it. I guess it you have to leave it up to your parents, but anyway, right. He's still battling a little bit with graft versus host, but he knows how to juggle things now, and he knows.
And what does that mean?
It's when your organs, like if you get a heart transplant, then your body will fight your heart because it's a foreign thing to your body. That makes sense. So when it's a bone marrow transplant, then that foreign blood goes to every part of your body, so it attacks your whole body. Okay. So it would attack his skin, it would attack his heart, it would attack his lungs. So he was constantly battling that and was like on his deathbed several times, and we didn't know if he'd make it, but he did it. And I think the thing that saved him was becoming an expert and knowing, because the doctors would say, well, do this, this, and this, and he would say, well, I'm feeling this, this, and this. I'm wondering if we should maybe do this besides. And they were really open to letting the patient help decide his treatment. Some other hospitals aren't like that. So So they were really good about that, and they allowed him to do whatever he felt like he needed to, and they would actually listen to his concerns, and it turned out really well. We watched people come into the hospital with the exact same diagnosis and die within a few years. I don't know anyone that has survived it like he has, so
wow.
Yeah, we feel really blessed.
Yeah. What was it like when you got the diagnosis? When he got it?
It was devastating. My kids were young. My oldest was 11, I believe, and my youngest was 1. So I had 9 kids at the time. Wow. So it was pretty terrifying. Yeah. Thinking that I was going to be left to raise my kids by myself, but luckily I have community that I can rely on. But yeah, it was. It was scary.
Yeah. That's really cool, though, his success story.
Yeah.
Like 11 years. Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So what would you say to a mom or to a mom who has kids who might have gone through the same thing that you did, who have either gotten the diagnosis themselves or their husband?
I would say become an expert. It's the best way to survive. If he would have followed 100% the recommendations that the hospital gave, he wouldn't have survived. If he would have only done the natural remedies, he wouldn't have survived. So I think it was the combination of the two. And and the will to live, that's huge. A lot of people, when it gets hard, then they just give up. He was bound and determined to stay because he had such a big family and he knew that they needed him. And so he knew it was important for him to live. And
to fight it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he had a really strong will to live.
Yeah.
He actually died a few times. I mean, like out-of-body experience type death.
Really?
And then he was pretty determined to stick around. So
what was that like?
He said it was really scary. Like one of the times he was in the hospital, and he, one of our kids was there with him. We always tried to have someone stay there with him to get him what he needed and just to be there for him. And they had fallen asleep. And so he woke up looking down at his body, and he said it freaked him out because he was like, no way. But he says he like forced himself like to go back into his body, and then he couldn't move. He said it took him probably a couple of minutes, which felt like an eternity, to be able to even move his fingers or move anything, because he was trying to get their attention. He's like, call for help. No, but couldn't say anything because anyway, he said it scared him really, really bad.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. And then another time we were at home, and his body started shutting down and his limbs started curling up and going cold. And we massaged, and he was telling us, you need to do CPR. If my heart stops, do this. And I'm he's telling me this, and I called for help and got people there to help. But yeah, that was pretty scary.
How did you stay calm?
I didn't. I was freaking out. Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to. I don't know that I'd be able to even do anything at that point. I think I'd just what do I do?
That's kind of what I did. I was like, no.
Just shock and panic.
Yeah, so I just called, and I just stood back and was scared.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. That was within the first couple of years after he had done the chemo and radiation. It was really hard on his body.
Oh, okay.
And then the graft versus host was attacking him from every organ, even his skin would get graft versus host, and he would start scaling up and scarring and bleeding, and his tongue would get like he says it felt like someone had just gone through and cut his tongue with a razor blade, because his body was being attacked by every organ. So yeah, that was rough. But he's been on a medication, or he was on a medication for a long time that causes cancer. So we kind of thought, well, if the leukemia doesn't kill him, then the drug will. But the drug was necessary to stop the graft versus host. But since then, they've come up with better medications that aren't so hard on the body, and that actually prolong life rather than give you cancer. So he's been on that for several years now, and he's doing really well.
Wow. How old was he when he got his diagnosis?
28.
Okay.
Yeah, he was young.
28, and then now he's...
No, 32. Sorry, he was 32. I was 20. I was 29.
Okay.
Yeah, he was 32.
So he was 32.
Yeah.
And now 43?
He's 45 now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's so cool that he has been able to do that.
To
fight it and to live as long as he has.
Yeah, we still haven't found anyone that has lived as long as he had.
Wow.
Or has with that diagnosis.
And
it's easier to treat now, and it's been, 11, 12 years. When he was first diagnosed, then they told us that if it had been 20 years sooner, he would have just been a death sentence, because they didn't even know how to treat it back then. So it gets, the medical knowledge gets better and better. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
For anybody else that has gone through it too since. So how do you think that it affected your kids?
So we tried to play it down for the kids. We didn't want them to worry a whole lot about it. One time they heard me talking to my sister on the phone. And I was concerned, and I didn't know if he was going to live, even through the month. And they heard me say that, and that was a mistake I'd made, and they were all crying and scared. But for the most part, they didn't realize
how bad it was,
or that it was.
What did they think of it now? Because they know now, right?
They know now, yeah.
Yeah.
They just are really glad that he's still around, and that, they're thankful that he cared enough to stick around for him, because it took a lot of effort and a lot of determination to live, for sure.
Do you think it made them stronger?
Probably. Yeah, I would think so.
To know that their dad literally fought.
Yeah,
to be there
I think
for them.
so. I know they appreciate it, and I know that they're really glad that he did that for them, and I remind them all the time, like, what would we do without Dad? And I think it probably made them closer to him too, because when they did understand that he could die, it made them a bit closer to him, because they didn't want to, have any regrets. So
yeah.
So that was good.
So when you say you have started doing like marriage counseling, what does that mean?
So I had friends that needed some help, or they were struggling, and I helped them, and then they told other people, "Oh, go to her. She's really good. She'll help you." So
she knows what she's talking about.
So we created a questionnaire and kind of got serious about it, and me and my husband do it together. So I counsel the woman and he counsels the man, and then we have like meetings all together and talk about things that they could do, or goals and things that they can work on. And it's been I think it's been pretty successful. We've only been doing it for a couple of years now, but
do you enjoy it?
I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I've actually wanted myself to be a counselor as well. Not necessarily in marriage, but more like family counseling with parents and children type of relationships. So I think that's really cool. It's cool that you just saw that there was something that needed to be done, or that people needed help, and just went for it. Whether you felt qualified, or because I'm sure you've had these same things where like, well, who am I, to start telling people, oh, try this and do this and be this way. But I just think it's really cool that you can just step up and be like, yeah, for sure, I'll help anybody go through something that
I really enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, it probably wouldn't be so easy. But, I really enjoy seeing married or couples happy, because to me that's the foundation of a family. I mean, if the couple doesn't get along together, then they're kind of doomed.
Right. Exactly. So I think that's really cool. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and for hanging out and talking.
Thanks for having me.
It's super cool, everything that you're doing with your career, your real estate that you've got going on, your interior decorating. I'm super excited to see where you guys take it, you and your daughter. Because, I mean, I've been watching since you guys started and just been blown away by the consistency and the determination that you guys have. I'm like, how do you guys just get started on something and just run with it?
Oh, so, you too. I think it's really cool. Yeah. I've watched a lot of your videos. It's very interesting. You do a good job.
Thank you. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This has been really fun.
Yeah, thank you.